Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Wholesome Living podcast. It's so good to be back in your ears, as I mentioned last week. If you tuned into the first episode of season 3, I'm just going to say that there's a few little noises going on outside, farm noises, so machinery and that kind of thing. So if anything comes through the microphone, that's what it probably is. So I apologize for that. If you tuned in last week, you'll know that this episode today is going to be me sharing the journey of bringing my book, Life in the Soul Lane, to life. I haven't scripted anything. I just want to sort of talk through the process and how it all came to be. So we'll see where that takes us. So as of 2 days ago, when I'm recording this podcast, my book is officially published, and it's such a wonderful feeling, a little bit surreal, to be honest. But yeah, such a wonderful feeling, and such a wonderful feeling to have received so much love and support from everyone. So that's, it never goes unnoticed. I really appreciate it. So thank you to anyone who shared any kind words or who has already purchased the book. So thank you. So I guess we'll go right back to the start of 2021. So last year, when I decided that I would like to write a book. I had already dabbled in it. This was around the same time, actually. I briefly mentioned it in the last episode, but at the beginning of last year, I had sort of like a little seed planted, and it was sort of germinating around me wanting to write a book. And bit of a side note here, but I went through the spiral journey with kinesiologist Zoe Bosco, and right at the end of that journey with her, this book thing really was starting to culminate there. And she was one of the first people to really encourage me to write the book. She said, you are a creative being, and you've got to write this book. There's no reason why you can't. And so one of the final tasks that she set for me at the end of that journey was to kind of sit down and write every day and just, make it happen. And I think that's the biggest thing that I learned was just that consistency, I guess, because the book isn't going to write itself. And so you really need to kind of commit to that regular writing schedule. And, it doesn't always pan out the way you hoped or the way you would like it to, but just having that intention there of sitting down and writing is really important. So that's what I did. I sat down, and sort of at the same time, I was just sitting down to write, and I was also trying to structure the chapters and how it was going to all flow. And that's when, so I was already writing, was already doing my own structuring of the book. And then that's when I got the help of my book writing mentor, Jordana Levine, who offered a service to, I guess, just bounce ideas off of and also help with the structuring of the book, just so that it flowed in a nice sort of way that made sense, I guess. So I think that was in April when we had our session together. So I had been writing for maybe two to 3 months, just sort of in my own way without any assistance for those couple of months. And once I got that feedback and that structure from Jordana, that was really helpful for me. So then we kind of just mapped out exactly what the chapters were going to be, and also the sub chapters as well. So that's really helpful too in the writing process, because sometimes if you're sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, I have to write a whole book, I guess it can get a little bit overwhelming. And so having that structure there, knowing, okay, maybe today I can just do this chapter or this sub chapter, and have that little goal for yourself for the day and get that done. So that was really helpful. And so I was writing, every day there was some times when there were little breaks in between when I was just wavering a little bit, I guess. I still wanted to write this book so much, and I still had it there, but there were a couple of little intermissions, I guess, in between when I had to just have a little break and then get re-inspired and come back to it and sit down for my morning writing time, just getting that little bit done every day, or most days at least anyway. I mentioned too in the last episode that I was fortunate enough to be one of the co-authors of the book This I Know Is True, and so I submitted that I guess proposal to be a part of that project around February. So that was all going on in the background, and I completed my chapter for that and submitted that around May, I think it was, and also was still writing my book as well. And so being a part of that group book was definitely, a little taste of what to expect, and really was a big driver for me to keep going with my solo book, and just keep on keeping on with it, which was really awesome. And so that book came out in the October, and that was really exciting just to have that opportunity. And then in December, I submitted my proposal to the Kind Press, who was also the one that published the This I Know Is True book. And so because I'd worked with Natasha and the team before, it was, I already knew sort of a bit about the process, and I already knew how wonderful they were at what they did. And so that was another catalyst and something that was really helpful to keep me inspired to keep writing. So you can already have like a full manuscript to submit to a publisher, but you can also just have a few chapters written and just write a proposal with the layout of what you intend to write, so they can determine whether or not it's a viable project for them to take on. And so it took me a good couple of weeks to gather all the information that I needed, the layout of what the book and the chapters were going to look like. I submitted a couple of chapters. Oh no, it was just the introduction actually. I sent to Natasha to read through, and also just sharing who my audience would be, who would be interested in reading the book, and a lot of other things too that go into it. So I did a lot of work to make sure that it was a really nice proposal, and a beautiful looking proposal as well. So that was in December, right before Christmas. And a few weeks later in January, I received an email from Natasha saying she would be interested in publishing potentially and wanted to have a conversation about it. And so we jumped on the phone and we had a beautiful chat, and I was really, really excited to learn that she was interested in bringing this project to life, Life in the Soul Lane. And it took me a few different titles actually to come up with that. There was a few other ones that I liked and that I came up with, but there were already books in the market with the same name. And so I really wanted to come up with something unique and special to represent what was held within the pages of the book. So yeah, we decided to go ahead, signed the contract, started getting everything rolling, and I said that I would have the book complete in March. So I really had to kind of get my butt into gear and start writing. And I finished the book in March on time, which was wonderful. And at the same time that was kind of happening, we started to think about what was going to be on the cover of the book. And so another phone call with Natasha, we were sort of chatting about it, and I said to her, the only thing that is coming into my mind is this pink combi van, and I don't know why, but that was sort of all that I could picture around what I wanted to be like represented on the front cover. and she thought that was pretty cool as well. And so we had the support of Christabella Designs, and so that cover was actually done quite early on in the piece. I think that was in March as well, when I was finishing up the writing process, and we had a few options to choose from, and we ended up choosing the one that's on the cover now. We just had to make a few little tweaks, but I'll grab it here actually. If you've seen the cover, it's very beautiful. If you're watching the video recording of this, you can see it. It's a very, very beautiful cover. I was so happy with it and so grateful to receive that feedback when that came through. So after that happened, we are submitted, and then it has to go through an editing process. So I had Georgia do the editing for me. So they have to go through and read the whole book. And because that's their profession, they're so apt at, knowing how to maybe say something in a different way, take a lot of words out that are unnecessary, and just helping with the structure and that kind of thing. So that had to go through a couple of rounds of edits, just to go back and forth to make sure all sides were happy with the edits. And then we start to move into production and that kind of thing. So, and how the layout of the book looks. So then once all the words are complete and edited properly, then you have to make the inside, so the typesetting of the book, look nice as well to match the outside. And so then we got all of the writing, all of the fonts and the display all done, which was really, really lovely. And I like the fonts that we ended up having. So that looked really beautiful as well. And then it goes into all the logistics from that point. So this whole time we're sort of going back and forth with each other, and Natasha's letting me know what's going on. And yeah, so it goes more into the logistics at that point and starts to be printed. A few copies got printed, a few versions, and sent to me so I could see it in the flesh and know what it looked like. And that took a few goes. And then I gave the final approval for it then to start getting printed and distributed. So the publisher looks after all of that for you, and it's so helpful to have someone with so much experience and someone who's so understanding and supportive to take care of that. And we decided on the publication date, so that wasn't set at all just yet. And then I decided that the 10th of October was the date that I wanted to bring the book to the world. So we chose that date for the publication date. The 9th of September was when pre-orders opened. So we had a good month of pre-orders to give that time to build the momentum, start getting the word out about the book. And that pre-order period is actually very important, just to give online bookstores and in-person bookstores and that kind of thing to know, how well the book could potentially perform once it's officially out in the world. So that all went really well, and that pretty much brings us up to date to where we are with the book now just being published. And I'm so excited to see what happens over the coming weeks and months, and I guess even years, with the sales of the book, and just getting the message out there. And as I've shared on my social media, the intention and the deep desire for me in writing this book was to, I guess the overarching theme for the book is cultivating this deep connection to yourself. And these were my personal lessons, personal experiences around how I have been able to do that. And that's ever unfolding. There's going to be, so much more to add to that through the journey of life. But this is everything that I had learned along the way up until this point. And it really is the book that I wish that I had as a younger woman, to have that deep connection to myself. And maybe that was part of the journey of me learning all these things, was for me to be able to share them in the form of this book. So this book really is for anyone. It would be a wonderful book for someone who's just at the start of their journey, or for a young woman to be able to learn more about herself. Obviously, men can read the book too, but there are a few woman-specific things in there. But yeah, this book is for anyone and everyone, and I'm so grateful to have the book officially out in the world. Just so happy. So if you're listening to this in real time, we have just published the book. We've just had the official online launch party. And if you happen to order your book before the 9th of October, you're still eligible for all of the pre-order bonuses. So don't forget to jump on and claim those. I can leave the link for that in the show notes. And where to from here? So I would like to write another book. I thought I should just wait maybe a little bit longer to try and stay really present in this moment with this book, because it's a special time and it'll only happen once, you know, publishing my first book. So I'm trying to revel in that. So it could even be, you know, next year before I look at starting to write another book again, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, there's definitely more than one book in my mind that I would like to share. So I think that's everything that I wanted to share about the book. I've probably missed quite a lot of things. I hope not, but I think that's the general process of what happens when you write a book. If you do have any questions about my book specifically and the contents, or even the publishing journey, or what happens on the way to getting a book published, or how to get your book published, please let me know. And I'd be happy to answer your questions. If there's any other questions around the book process at all, please let me know. Please give me some feedback. I would love to hear from you. And yeah, that's it for today's episode. So thank you so much for joining me. As I said last time, if there are any requests for podcast episodes or topics, please let me know, get in touch. Yeah, and of course, my book is out now for sale in all retail online bookstores. So anywhere you buy books, you'll be able to find it there. And yeah, if anyone has already started reading the book, please let me know how you're going and your thoughts on the book. I'd love to hear. Until next time, take really good care of yourself, and I'll chat to you all again soon.